They looked me straight in the eye and said it. "We're too busy for your drama, Mom. Handle it yourself." My own children. The ones I raised alone after their father died. The ones I put through college working 2 jobs and sleeping 4 hours a night. They couldn't spare 15 minutes to let me share my grief when my sister was dying. So I did exactly what they told me to do. I handled it myself. I revised my entire will without breathing a word to anyone. And when they showed up 6 months later at the lake house expecting to start planning their renovations, they found my estate attorney sitting in the living room briefcase, open documents spread across the coffee table. The looks on their faces. I'll remember that moment for the rest of my life. My name is Monique Thompson, and I'm 72 years old. I've lived in Connecticut my whole life, raised 3 children as a single mother after my husband passed when I was 45, and I worked as a school librarian for 33 years before I retired. Before we go any further, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your state or country in the comments. Honestly, your support means everything to me, and I need to know I'm not alone in this. Now let me take you back to where it all started. It was a Tuesday morning in March when I got the call from Lorraine's doctor, my younger sister, my only sibling, my best friend since childhood stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 3 months if we were lucky. I sat in my kitchen phone pressed to my ear and the world tilted sideways. Lorraine was only 67. She'd just retired from teaching. We'd been planning a trip to Hilton Head that summer, just the 2 of us like we used to do with our mama. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely dial Jasmine's number. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Mom, this better be quick. I'm literally about to walk into a board presentation." "Jasmine, honey, I really need to talk. It's about Aunt Lorraine." I heard papers rustling heels clicking on tile. "Mom, I'm at work. Can this wait until tonight?" "Baby, it's important. She's very sick. The doctor said, 'Look, I'll call you this weekend, okay? I really can't do this right now.'" The line went dead. I sat there, phone still at my ear, tears already forming. I told myself she was just stressed. Work pressure. She'd been so busy since the divorce trying to prove herself as a single mother with 2 kids. She'd call back. She had to. I tried my son next. "Hey, Ma." Terrence's voice was warm at first. "What's up?" "Terry, it's Aunt Lorraine. I just got a call from her doctor. She has cancer. Stage 4. Silence. Then a long exhale. "Okay, that's rough. I'm sorry." "I'm scared, baby. She's my only sister and I don't know what to do. I need to talk to someone." "Mom." His tone shifted, taking on that edge I'd heard more and more in recent years. "I hear you, but Shanice is already on my case about working too much. The kids barely see me. I've got a product launch next week that could make or break my promotion." "I'm not asking you to do anything. I just need to talk." "That's the thing, though, Ma. You always need to talk. Last month it was your neighbor's tree falling on your fence. The month before that, your furnace acting up. 2 weeks ago, you called 3 times about your cable bill." My chest tightened. "Terry, this is different. This is your aunt. She's dying." "Then call hospice. Call her doctors. Call your church ladies. They're good at this stuff." "Mom, I love you, but my therapist says I need better boundaries. You can't expect me to drop everything every time you have a crisis. Handle it yourself. You're a strong woman. Handle it yourself." Those 3 words hung in the air long after he disconnected. My youngest, Aaliyah, didn't even answer. 3 calls went straight to voicemail. 2 hours later, I got a text. "In IEP meetings all day. What's up?" I stared at my phone screen, vision blurring with tears. I typed back with trembling fingers. "Aunt Lorraine has stage 4 cancer. Need to talk." The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Oh no. That's awful, Mom. I'm so sorry. Can we catch up this weekend? Totally swamped, RN." That weekend never came. No call, no follow-up. I sat alone in my kitchen that entire day crying. Not just about Lorraine's diagnosis, though. That was crushing enough on its own. I cried because the 3 people I devoted my entire life to couldn't spare 15 minutes to let me share my grief. I thought about all the times I'd dropped everything for them. When Jasmine's marriage fell apart 8 years ago, who drove to Boston every single weekend for 3 months to help with the kids while she fell apart. When Terrence lost his job during the recession, who paid his mortgage for 6 months without asking for a penny back. When Aaliyah had her breakdown during her first year teaching, who took a leave of absence from work to stay with her in Philadelphia, sleeping on her couch, making sure she ate, walked her through therapy sessions. Me. Every single time it was me. But apparently I'd become an inconvenience. My problems were drama. My need for emotional support was too much to ask. Fine. If they wanted me to handle things myself, I'd do exactly that. The next morning, I called Raymond Davis. I'd worked with him when my husband died 27 years ago, and he'd helped me set up my initial will. We'd kept it simple back then. Everything split 3 ways among my children with the Vermont lake house, the one Marcus and I had bought in 1985, where we'd spent every summer going to all 3 of them jointly. "Raymond, I need to schedule an appointment," I said when his secretary put me through. "I want to completely revise my will." "Monique," his voice carried immediate concern. "Is everything all right?" "Everything's fine. I just need to make some changes. Significant changes." We met that Friday in his office in downtown Hartford. I walked in with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. This wasn't spite, I told myself. This was survival. My children had shown me exactly how they valued our relationship. They'd made their priorities crystal clear. Raymond was 58 now, gray threading through his close-cropped hair, reading glasses perched on his nose as he reviewed documents. We'd known each other a long time. He didn't waste words. "Tell me what you're thinking, Monique." "I want to remove my children as primary beneficiaries." His pen stilled. He looked up at me over those glasses, expression neutral. 30 years practicing law meant he'd probably seen worse. "Go on." "The lake house goes to my niece Nia, Lorraine's daughter. She's 29 now, a nurse up in Burlington. She actually visits me, Raymond. She calls just to check in, not because she needs something. Last winter, when I had pneumonia, she drove down from Vermont without me even asking, made sure I had soup and medicine." I pulled out the notes I'd made. "My main house in West Hartford gets sold proceeds split between the library system where I worked for 33 years, the Pancreatic Cancer Research Foundation, and the women's shelter where I volunteer. And your children. $1,000 each. Just enough that they can't claim I forgot about them or that I wasn't of sound mind. I wanted absolutely clear that this was intentional." Raymond set down his pen, folded his hands. "Monique, I have to ask this. Are you making these decisions out of anger? Estate decisions made in emotional distress can sometimes be regretted later." I met his eyes. "I've never been more certain of anything in my life. They told me to handle it myself. So I am." Over the next 3 weeks, Raymond drafted everything meticulously. We included provisions that would make contesting the will nearly impossible. I underwent a cognitive assessment with a psychologist scored in the excellent range for my age. We video recorded me explaining my decisions, calm and articulate, making it clear that no one had coerced or manipulated me. The hardest part wasn't making the decision. It was keeping it secret. Every time Jasmine called with some superficial conversation about her vacation plans, I wanted to scream. Every time Terrence sent his obligatory monthly text, "Hey Ma, how you doing?" I wanted to tell him exactly how I was doing. Aaliyah remained mostly absent, popping up every few weeks with an excuse about being overwhelmed with work. None of them visited. Not once during those weeks when Lorraine was declining rapidly. I spent countless hours at my sister's bedside in New Haven, holding her hand, helping with doctor appointments, managing her medications when she got too weak. Naya was there too, my wonderful niece who'd taken FMLA leave from the hospital to help care for her mother. We cried together, laughed over old memories, Lorraine teaching me to ride a bike our summers at our grandmother's house in South Carolina, the time she covered for me when I snuck out to see Marcus. We sat in comfortable silence during the hardest days when Lorraine was too tired for words, but squeezed my hand to let me know she was still there. Lorraine passed away on a Sunday morning in late May, just 8 weeks after her diagnosis. The funeral was the following Saturday at Mount Zion Baptist Church, where we'd both sung in the choir as girls. The church was packed. Lorraine had touched so many lives as a teacher, a mentor, a friend. The choir sang "His Eye is on the Sparrow," and I broke down completely. Jasmine showed up 20 minutes late, sliding into the pew beside me, checking her phone throughout the service. I watched her scroll through emails during the eulogy, my sister's life reduced to background noise for her inbox. Terrence attended, but left immediately after the service, not even coming to the repast at the church hall. "Sorry, Mom," he said, giving me a quick one-armed hug. "Devon's got soccer playoffs. I promised I'd be there." Aaliyah came at least. She sat with me, held my hand during the hardest moments. But at the reception, I overheard her complaining to Isaiah about her principal, about her workload, about how overwhelmed she was. Not once did she ask how I was holding up, losing my only sibling. "This must be so hard for you, Mom." Jasmine said later, giving me a brief hug that felt like checking a box. Losing Aunt Lorraine. I wanted to say, you know what was hard? Calling you when I found out she was sick and being told I was being dramatic. But I didn't. I just nodded and said, yes, it is. Hey, we should talk soon about the lake house, Terrence mentioned as people were leaving. Aaliyah and I were thinking maybe this summer we could use it more. The kids are getting older and it'd be nice to have that family time. The lake house. Of course, that's what they were thinking about at their aunt's funeral. Not about me grieving the loss of my only sister. Not about how I'd spent the last 2 months watching her die. The property. The inheritance. What they could get. We'll talk later, I said simply. Aaliyah appeared beside him. Actually, Mom, I've been meaning to bring this up too. Now that you're getting older, maybe it makes sense to start talking about estate planning. You know, just to make sure everything's organized. For your peace of mind. My peace of mind. They hadn't cared about my peace of mind when I was falling apart over Lorraine's diagnosis. But now that they wanted to secure their inheritance, suddenly my well-being mattered. Everything's already organized. I told them, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. I met with my estate attorney months ago. It's all handled. Oh, good, Jasmine said, joining the conversation. So the house and the lake property are all set up to transfer smoothly. It's all legally documented. You don't need to worry about any of it. They seemed satisfied with that answer, interpreting my words the way they wanted to. They assumed all handled meant everything was neatly packaged for them to inherit. They had no idea what I'd actually done. I stood at my sister's grave after everyone left Nia beside me. We were the last ones there. Auntie Mo, she said softly, using the nickname she'd called me since she was little. You okay? Your mama was a good woman, I said, my voice breaking. The best sister anyone could ask for. She loved you so much. Nia squeezed my hand. She told me right at the end. She said, take care of Monique. Her kids don't know what they have. I looked at my niece, this young woman who'd sacrificed her own comfort to care for her dying mother, who'd shown up for me without being asked. Nia, I need to tell you something. I've made some changes to my estate planning. The lake house is going to you. She turned to me, eyes wide. Auntie, what about Jasmine and them? They'll be taken care of differently. But that house your mama and I spent every summer there growing up. You love it. You respect it. It should be yours. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything yet. And don't mention it to anyone. When the time comes, you'll get all the documentation. As we walked back to our cars, I felt something shift inside me. Not quite peace, but purpose. My children had told me to handle my own problems, so I was handling them. And they were going to find out just how capable I really was. Over the summer, their sense of entitlement grew, like kudzu spreading and choking everything in its path. It started with the group text. I was sitting on my back porch in July reading a book when my phone buzzed. The family group chat, Thompson Crew, lit up with messages. Jasmine, been thinking about the lake house. Those appliances are from the 90s. We should upgrade the kitchen. Terrence, you good with splitting the cost? Terrence, makes sense. Increases property value anyway. Mom, what's the process for transferring the deed? Want to get ahead of it. Aaliyah, also should we talk about selling Mom's house, just thinking about market timing? I stared at my phone, reading and rereading those messages. They were planning my estate distribution like I was already dead. I was sitting 20 feet away from that house they wanted to sell very much alive, watching them divvy up my life's work via text message. I didn't respond. Jasmine private message to me. Mom, why aren't you responding to the group chat? We're just trying to plan ahead. Be practical. I left it on read. The phone calls started next. Terrence first. Mom, about the house transfer. Should I contact a real estate attorney or do you already have someone handling it? I have an attorney, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Everything's handled. Great. So when can we get the paperwork started? I'm trying to plan our finances for next year. There's no rush, Terry. Mom. His voice took on that patient tone like he was explaining something to a child. Shanice and I are trying to make decisions about our future. Devin wants to go to Northwestern. That's $60,000 a year. We need to know what we're working with. You're working with what you earn, Terrence. Silence on the other end. Then what's that supposed to mean? It means I'm still alive. My assets are mine until I'm not. Are you feeling okay? You're being really weird about this. Maybe we should schedule a doctor's appointment. I hung up. That night, lying in bed, I questioned myself. Was I being unreasonable? They were just planning ahead, being responsible, right? But then I remembered not one of them had asked how I was doing since Lorraine's funeral. Not one call to check if I was lonely, if I was coping with the grief, if I needed company. Every single conversation circled back to money, property, their expectations. August brought more red flags. Jasmine sent me links to financial advisors who specialized in senior asset transitions. Terrence actually mailed physical brochures for assisted living communities. Just to look at Ma, for when you're ready. I wasn't ready. I was 72, not 92. I walked 3 miles every morning. I volunteered at the library twice a week. I cooked my own meals, managed my own finances, drove my own car. But they'd already decided I was declining. Aaliyah's approach was softer, but no less invasive. She called one evening in early September. "Hey, Mom, how are you?" Finally, I thought. Finally, one of them is asking. "I'm managing baby. Some days are harder than others without Lorraine." I can imagine. A pause. "Listen, Mom, I've been thinking. Have you updated your beneficiary information on your retirement accounts? I was talking to Isaiah's financial planner, and he said a lot of seniors forget to update those after major life events." My grip tightened on the phone. "It's all updated." "Okay, good. And your insurance policies? Because if something happened, we'd need to know." "Aaliyah, why are you asking me this?" "I'm just trying to help Mom. We all are. You're not getting any younger, and we want to make sure everything's in order so you don't have to worry." "I'm not worried." "Well, we are. Jasmine and Terrence think maybe we should have a family meeting. All of us together. To go over everything." "There's nothing to go over." "Mom, please don't be difficult about this." Difficult. That word again. I was difficult when I needed emotional support. I was difficult when I wanted to maintain control over my own property. I was difficult when I existed as anything other than a walking inheritance. "I need to go," I said. "Goodbye, Aaliyah." October arrived with autumn colors and betrayal. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was reading in my living room, a cup of tea cooling on the side table, when I heard cars pulling into my driveway. Multiple cars. I looked out the window and felt my stomach drop. All 3 of them. Jasmine's black Lexus, Terrence's truck, Aaliyah's sedan. They hadn't called, hadn't texted, just showed up. And they were carrying folders. I stood in my entryway as they walked into my house without even knocking, like they owned it already. "Mom, we need to talk," Jasmine announced, barely greeting me. "We've brought some paperwork to make things easier for everyone." She was wearing her business suit, the armor she wore to intimidate people in boardrooms. Terrence was right behind her, jaw set. Aaliyah came in last, avoiding my eyes. "What paperwork?" I asked, my voice steady, despite my racing heart. Terrence stepped forward, unfolding documents on my coffee table. "Look, Mom, we love you, but we've all been talking and we think it's time to be practical." I looked down at the papers spread across my table like a hostile takeover. Power of attorney forms. Deed transfer documents for the lake house. Joint account authorization forms. "You're 72, Terrence continued. "You're alone in this big house. Aaliyah found a really nice assisted living facility. I don't need assisted living." "Let me finish. We're not saying you need it now, but eventually you will. And these papers just help us help you. Power of attorney means if something happens, we can manage your bills, your medical decisions." "You mean control my money?" Jasmine's expression hardened. "Don't be dramatic. We're trying to help you. We've all consulted with lawyers. This is standard procedure for elderly parents." "I'm not elderly, and I'm not signing anything." "Mom, don't make this difficult," Terrence said, pushing the papers toward me. "We're your children. We're looking out for you." Something inside me snapped. Looking out for me. When was the last time any of you looked out for me? When Lorraine was dying? Where were you? When I called you heartbroken and terrified, what did you tell me? The room went silent. Even Jasmine had the grace to look uncomfortable. "That was different," she finally said. "Different how my sister was dying of cancer. I needed my children. And you told me I was being dramatic. You told me to handle it myself." "Okay, yes, we could have been more supportive during that time," Aaliyah said, her voice small. "But this is about your future, about making sure you're taken care of." "I am taken care of. I've handled my affairs." "Then it should be easy to sign these papers," Jasmine said coldly, extending them toward me. They just formalize what we've been discussing. Transfer the lake house deed to all three of us now so we can start managing it properly. Set up joint accounts so we can help with bills. Get out of my house. They froze. Mom, Terrence started. You're being completely— I said get out. You come into my home uninvited with legal documents you prepared behind my back, trying to manipulate me into signing over my property and finances. Get out. Now. You're being unreasonable. Jasmine's voice rose. We're your children. Everything you have should go to us anyway. We're just trying to make the process easier. For yourselves, you're trying to make it easier for yourselves, not for me. That's when Aaliyah started crying. Jazz, maybe we should go, she said, looking at her sister. Mom's upset. Whose side are you on? Jasmine snapped at her. Aaliyah's face crumpled. I'm on Mom's side. I'm always on Mom's side. This doesn't feel right. Showing up like this. We agreed, Aaliyah. We all agreed this was the best approach. You and Terrence agreed, Aaliyah said, tears streaming now. You said if I didn't help, you'd cut me out too. My heart cracked a little. So Aaliyah had been coerced, pressured by her siblings, but she'd still come. She'd still participated. Mom, I'm sorry. Aaliyah turned to me. I didn't want to do it like this. I told them it was wrong, but they said— Aaliyah, stop talking, Terrence growled. No, Aaliyah stood taller. I'm done. Mom, I'm so sorry. This was wrong. All of it. Jasmine grabbed her documents. Fine. Mom, if you don't cooperate with this, we'll have to take legal action. We can petition the court to have you declared incompetent. There it was. The nuclear option. My voice came out cold and clear. Get out of my house before I call the police. You're insane, Terrence said. We're trying to help you and you're treating us like criminals. I walked to my phone. You have 30 seconds. When you need us, don't bother calling, Jasmine said at the door. We're done trying to help you. I haven't been able to count on you calling in years, I replied. This changes nothing. They left tires squealing on my driveway. Aaliyah looked back once, mouthing I'm sorry, before Isaiah pulled her into their car. I locked the door, hands shaking, and immediately called Raymond. They just tried to ambush me with power of attorney papers. I told Raymond, my voice surprisingly steady. Jasmine threatened to have me declared incompetent. Did you sign anything? No, I threw them out. Good. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to any meetings alone. And document everything, every text, every call, every interaction. We need a record. Over the next 6 weeks, they tried everything. Jasmine sent certified letters to my address, claiming I was a danger to myself. Michael contacted my doctor's office trying to get medical records that would support a competency hearing. The office called to warn me. Mrs. Thompson, your son is requesting your complete medical history. We told him we need written authorization from you, but he's being quite persistent. Don't give him anything, I said, and document every request. Aaliyah showed up at my house twice more. The first time she came alone, crying. Mom, please, I'm so sorry. Jasmine is threatening to freeze me out if I don't go along with this conservatorship thing. But I don't want to do it. I don't think you're incompetent. I'm scared. Scared of what, baby? Of not having enough. Isaiah and I have so much debt. The student loans, the mortgage. When Jasmine said we'd all inherit enough to be comfortable, she broke down. I'm ashamed, Mom. I let money make me stop seeing you. I just saw dollar signs. I wanted to comfort her. Part of me still saw my baby girl, the one who'd held my hand during thunderstorms. But I also saw a 41-year-old woman who'd chosen money over her mother. Leah, I appreciate you telling me this, but I need you to make a choice. Are you with them, or are you with me? Can't I be with both? No, not on this. She left without answering. The nastiest blow came in early December. Jasmine posted on Facebook something she rarely did, a long emotional message about how worried she was about her declining mother, who was refusing help and making irrational decisions. She painted herself as the devoted daughter dealing with a difficult, possibly senile parent. Within hours, I had messages from friends, distant relatives, people from church. All concerned. All asking if I needed help. All convinced I was losing my mind because Jasmine had convinced them first. The manipulation was sophisticated. She was poisoning the well, creating a narrative where they were the caring children and I was the problem. But they made one critical mistake. They underestimated me. They assumed I was a helpless old woman who would eventually crack under pressure. They didn't account for the fact that I'd spent 33 years as a school librarian dealing with difficult teenagers, manipulative parents, and complex administrative politics. I knew how to document, how to build a case, how to stay 3 steps ahead. Raymond called me mid-December. "Monique, sit down. I need to tell you something." I sat. "A colleague of mine just gave me a heads up. Your children have hired a competing firm. They're filing for conservatorship. The hearing is scheduled for December 15th. My blood ran cold. Conservatorship. Legal control over your person and estate. They're claiming you're mentally incompetent, financially vulnerable, and at risk of elder exploitation. I felt like the air had been sucked from my lungs. They were really doing this. My own children were trying to have me declared legally incompetent so they could control everything. "We anticipated it," Raymond continued. "We have your cognitive assessments, the video's documentation of their harassment. They won't win. But Monique, it's going to get ugly." I sat in silence for a long moment thinking. Then I made a decision. "Raymond, I want to confront them. Before court. On my terms. Where? The lake house. They want it so badly, let's meet them there." I could hear the smile in his voice. "I'll clear my Saturday." That evening I sent a text to the family group chat. "We need to talk about the lake house and the estate. This Saturday 11 a.m. Vermont. Be there." The responses came fast. Jasmine. "Finally. We'll be there." Terrence. "About time, Mom." Aaliyah. "Okay. Just us. Me, family only." Aaliyah texted me privately. "Mom, is everything okay? This feels, I don't know. Are you sure? Trust me, baby," I replied. "It'll all make sense Saturday." I looked out my window at the December darkness. In less than a week, this would all be over. One way or another, the truth would finally come out. I arrived at the lake house before dawn on Saturday. The drive from Connecticut to Vermont took 3 hours, and I wanted time to prepare. Time to walk through the rooms one last time before everything changed. This house held 40 years of memories, Marcus teaching the kids to fish off the dock, summer barbecues with Lorraine and her family, the sound of children's laughter echoing through the pine trees. But those children had grown into strangers who valued this place for its market worth, not its memories. Raymond arrived at 9:30, right on schedule. He was dressed in a charcoal suit, carrying his leather briefcase, every inch the professional attorney. We'd been through the plan a dozen times, but he reviewed it once more. "You sure you want to do this?" he asked, setting documents on the coffee table. "Once we tell them, there's no going back." I looked around the living room at the stone fireplace Marcus and I had built ourselves one summer, at the built-in bookshelves filled with paperbacks and photo albums at the window overlooking the lake where I'd spent countless mornings with my coffee. "I've never been more sure of anything." Raymond nodded and began arranging papers in neat stacks. The revised will, the cognitive assessments, the documentation of harassment, everything we'd need. At 10:45, we heard vehicles approaching on the gravel drive. My heart hammered in my chest. This was it. Through the window, I watched all 3 vehicles pull up. Jasmine's Lexus, first gleaming black even in the overcast December light. Then Terrence's pickup truck. Finally, Aaliyah's sedan. They'd brought their families. I could see Jasmine's teenage daughters in the back seat, Terrence's wife, Shanice, and their 3 kids, Aaliyah and Isaiah, with little Zoe. They'd planned this as a family weekend, a celebration. They probably intended to change the locks after today, maybe start planning those renovations Jasmine kept talking about. They were laughing as they got out of the cars. Terrence was pointing at the dock, probably telling his son about fishing. Jasmine was already on her phone, likely photographing the house for her Pinterest boards. Aaliyah was unloading what looked like enough groceries for a week. They had no idea what was waiting inside. Jasmine reached the front door first. I watched her pull out a key, an old copy I'd forgotten she had from years ago. She tried to slide it into the lock. It didn't work. I'd changed all the locks in October, right after they'd ambushed me at my house. She tried again, jiggling the key. Frowning. Then she knocked. "Mom, are you in there?" I walked to the door, feeling Raymond stand up behind me. I took a deep breath, sent up a silent prayer, and opened it. The expression on Jasmine's face when she saw Raymond sitting there in his suit briefcase, open legal documents spread across the coffee table. I'll treasure that moment for the rest of my life. "What's he doing here?" she demanded. "Good morning, Jasmine. Terrence, Aaliyah." Raymond's voice was calm, professional. Your mother asked me to be present for this meeting. Please come in. They filed in, slowly, confusion morphing into suspicion. Shanice stayed outside with the kids, suddenly sensing this wasn't the family weekend they'd expected. Isaiah hesitated at the door until Aaliyah pulled him inside. "What's going on?" Terrence asked, his voice tight. "Please sit down," I said. "Mom, what is this?" Aaliyah's eyes were wide, darting between Raymond and the documents on the table. "This is a conversation we should have had months ago," I said. "But you were all too busy planning my funeral while I was still alive." Jasmine's face went pale. "What are you talking about?" Raymond cleared his throat. "I'll get straight to the point. Your mother has made significant revisions to her estate plan. She asked me to review them with all of you today." "Revisions," Terrence's voice cracked. "When March," I said quietly. "Right after you all told me to handle my problems myself. So I did." Raymond opened the top folder. "Mrs. Thompson has removed all 3 of you as primary beneficiaries of her estate." The silence was deafening. "The lake house," Raymond continued, his voice measured and clear, "has been designated to go to Nia Patterson, Mrs. Thompson's niece. The remainder of the estate, including Mrs. Thompson's primary residence in West Hartford, and her financial assets, will be distributed to various charitable organizations and educational trusts." Jasmine grabbed the edge of the coffee table like she might fall over. "You're giving our lake house to Nia." "It was never your lake house," I said, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands. "It was mine and your father's. We bought it. We maintained it. We paid for it. The fact that you summered here as children doesn't make it yours." "This is insane." Terrence stood up, his face flushing red. "You can't cut us out of your will because we were busy when you called about Aunt Lorraine." "This isn't about one phone call." My voice rose. "This is about years of being treated like an inconvenience. This is about you telling me I was dramatic when my sister was dying. This is about you showing up at my house with legal papers to steal my property while I'm still alive." "We were trying to help you," Aaliyah shouted, tears already streaming down her face. "Help me," I turned to her. "You were trying to help yourselves. Every conversation for the past year has been about my estate, my property, what you'll inherit. Not once did any of you call just to see how I was doing." Jasmine turned to Raymond, her lawyer instincts kicking in. "This won't hold up in court. She's clearly not of sound mind. We'll contest it." Raymond didn't even blink. I anticipated that argument. Mrs. Thompson underwent 3 separate cognitive evaluations by licensed psychologists. She scored exceptionally well on all of them. We also have video documentation of her explaining her decisions clearly and rationally. He pulled out another folder. "Additionally, I have detailed records of your attempts to coerce her. The October incident where you brought unauthorized power of attorney papers. Your social media posts questioning her competency. Your requests for her medical records without authorization. Your planned conservatorship filing for December 15th. Terrence's jaw dropped. "How did you—" "I'm very good at my job," Raymond said simply. "And I've been practicing elder law for 30 years. I know every trick in the book." That's when Aaliyah crumpled. She sank to her knees right there in the middle of the living room, sobbing so hard her whole body shook. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." "Aaliyah, shut up," Jasmine hissed. "No," Aaliyah looked up at me, mascara streaming down her cheeks. "I'm done lying. Mom, Jasmine, and Terrence convinced me this was about protecting you. They said Nia might be manipulating you, that you were vulnerable, that we had to act fast." "Aaliyah, I swear to God," Terrence started. "They said if I didn't help, they'd cut me out too." Aaliyah's voice cracked. "I was scared. We have so much debt, and they made it sound like this was the only way to secure our future. But I knew it was wrong. I told them the ambush was wrong. I told them we should just talk to you, like adults, but they wouldn't listen." I felt something shift in my chest. This was the twist I'd been waiting for confirmation, that not all my children were lost to greed. "Leah," I said softly, kneeling beside her. "Baby, I know you were pressured, but you still made a choice. You chose them over me." "I know," she sobbed, "and I hate myself for it. I'm so sorry, Mama. Please, please forgive me." Jasmine's face was twisted with fury. "You're pathetic, Aaliyah. Absolutely pathetic." "No," Aaliyah stood up, wiping her face. "What's pathetic is us trying to steal from our own mother. What's pathetic is planning her estate like she's already dead. What's pathetic is me standing here defending you when you're just greedy and cruel." Jasmine turned back to me, her eyes cold. Fine. You want to play hardball? We're still filing for conservatorship, December 15th. The judge will see you've lost your mind giving away our inheritance to Charity and some niece who barely knows you. Raymond stood buttoning his suit jacket. I wouldn't recommend that course of action. He produced yet another folder, this one thick with documents. I have here transcripts of your group chat discussing getting Mom declared incompetent, records of your calls to her physician, screenshots of your Facebook posts, security camera footage of your October visit where you attempted coercion. He laid them out one by one like playing cards. If you proceed with conservatorship proceedings, I will file a countersuit for elder abuse, financial exploitation, and harassment. You will lose. It will cost you tens of thousands in legal fees, and the publicity will destroy your reputations. Terrence's face had gone from red to ashen. You've been documenting everything. Every single thing, I say. Ed. You taught me to handle my own problems, remember? So I handled them like a smart woman would with evidence, witnesses, and legal protection. We're your children. Jasmine's voice broke for the first time, actual emotion seeping through. After everything you gave us, everything you sacrificed, you owe us. That word, owe. I owe you. Something inside me finally broke open, and years of hurt came pouring out. I owe you. I gave you everything. Your education, your opportunities, your comfort. I worked 2 jobs after your father died. I slept 4 hours a night so you could have new school clothes and soccer cleats and college tuition. Tears were streaming down my face now, but I didn't care. I sacrificed my health, my social life, my chance at love again. All for you. And when I needed you just once, when my sister was dying and my heart was breaking, you told me I was being dramatic. You told me to handle it myself. My voice dropped to a whisper. So I did. I handled my life, my estate, my future, without you. Because you taught me that I couldn't count on you for anything except disappointment. Terrence tried one more time. Mom, we made mistakes. We're sorry. But cutting us out completely, that's cruel. Is it? I looked at him. Or is it finally putting a value on myself equal to what I gave you? Is it cruel to refuse to let my children treat me like a wallet with a pulse? You're a bitter, vindictive old woman, he said, and I saw Marcus in his face for just a second, but Marcus had been kind, and this man was a stranger. Maybe I am, I acknowledged, but I'm a bitter old woman with dignity, with self-respect, and with the legal right to do whatever I want with my own property. Jasmine gathered her papers, the ones she'd brought, thinking this would be a signing ceremony in her favor. When you're old and sick and need someone to take care of you, don't call us. I haven't been able to count on calling you for years, I replied. This changes nothing except now it's official. Terrence stormed out without another word. Aaliyah lingered at the door. Mom, I know I don't deserve it, but can I call you not about this? Just to talk. I looked at my youngest daughter, really looked at her. She'd made terrible choices, been weak when I needed her to be strong. But she was also the only one who'd shown genuine remorse. We'll see, Leah. Time will tell. She nodded and left Isaiah's arm around her shoulders. The door closed. The house fell silent. Raymond and I stood there in the aftermath. You did good, Monique, he said gently. That took courage. I don't feel courageous. I feel exhausted. That's normal. But you stood your ground. You protected yourself. Many people can't do that with their own children. After Raymond left, I sat alone in the living room for a long time looking out at the lake. The water was gray under the December sky, small waves lapping at the shore. My phone buzzed. A text from Nia. Auntie Mo Jasmine just called me screaming about the will. I told her I didn't want to be in the middle. Are you okay? I called her back. Don't worry about being in the middle, baby. This is my decision, and I stand by it. But Auntie, are you safe? Are they harassing you? I'm fine. My attorney handled everything beautifully. We talked for an hour about her mother, about grief, about moving forward. It reminded me what real connection felt like. Not transactional, not conditional, just genuine care between two people who valued each other. That night I slept better than I had in months. The following weeks were quiet in a way I hadn't expected. No calls from Jasmine. No texts from Terrence. Radio silence. They'd shown their true priorities, and now that those priorities were denied, they had no use for me. Part of me grieved that reality. I'd lie in bed some nights and cry for the children I'd raised, for the family I'd thought we were. But mostly I felt relief, like I'd been holding my breath for years and could finally exhale. Aaliyah was the exception. She sent a handwritten letter 2 weeks after the confrontation. I found it in my mailbox on a Tuesday afternoon. Dear Mom, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I can forgive myself. But I need you to know that I'm in therapy now, talking about everything, the pressure, the money stress, how I let Jasmine manipulate me. I was scared. Isaiah and I have so much student debt the mortgage feels crushing, and when Jasmine said we'd all inherit enough to be comfortable, I wanted that so badly I stopped seeing you. I just saw dollar signs and relief from financial anxiety. That's not an excuse. It's an explanation. And it's shameful. I'm not asking you to change your will. I'm asking if you'll let me be your daughter again. Not for inheritance. Just because I love you and I miss you, and I want to do better. Can I visit? No agenda. Just coffee and conversation. Love, Aaliyah. I held that letter for a long time, reading it over and over. Then I called her. You can visit, I said when she answered. This Sunday. Just you. She came alone. No Isaiah, no Zoe, just Aaliyah with a bouquet of daisies, my favorite, and red eyes that suggested she'd been crying on the drive over. We sat in my kitchen drinking coffee, and for the first time in years, we just talked. Not about money or property or estates. About life. About her struggles as a teacher. About my volunteer work at the library. About missing Lorraine. I think about what Aunt Lorraine would say about all this, Aaliyah said quietly. She'd be so disappointed in me. She'd want you to do better, I said. And that's what matters now. Not what you did, but what you do next. Christmas came. I spent it with Nia, Aaliyah, Isaiah, and little Zoe. We cooked together. Aaliyah made her Aunt Lorraine's famous potato salad from memory and exchanged modest gifts. It wasn't the big family gathering I'd once imagined for my old age, but it was warm and real and free of ulterior motives. Watching Aaliyah play with Zoe, teaching her to make paper snowflakes like I'd taught her 30 years ago, I felt something in my heart soften. In March, 6 months after the lake house confrontation, I called Raymond. I want to add a codicil to the will. What kind of codicil? Aaliyah gets $50,000. Not the house, not the main inheritance, but enough to show I recognized her effort to rebuild our relationship. You're sure? She's been visiting every other weekend for 6 months. She calls twice a week just to check in. She's never once asked about money. She's trying Raymond. That deserves recognition. All right, I'll draft it. Last weekend, I drove up to the lake house with Nia and Aaliyah. We sat on the dock, feet dangling over the water, watching the sunset paint the sky pink and orange. Auntie Mo, Nia said, I can't thank you enough for trusting me with this place. Your mama loved it here, I said. You love it here. That's what matters. Aaliyah was quiet for a moment, then said softly, Mom, I'm sorry it took losing everything to realize what I had. I took her hand. You didn't lose everything, baby. You lost money you never had. But we still have this. I squeezed her fingers. We still have each other. What about Jasmine and Terrence? She asked. What about them? Do you think they'll ever? I don't know. Come around. I looked out at the water thinking. Maybe, maybe not. But that's their choice to make. I've done my part. I raised them, loved them, gave them everything I had. If they want a relationship with me now, it has to be on terms of mutual respect, not obligation, not inheritance. Respect. And if they never reach out, then I'll grieve the relationship we could have had, but I won't regret protecting myself. You can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm, Leah. I spent too many years doing that. We sat in comfortable silence as the sun dipped below the trees. People ask me if I regret it, if I'm lonely without all 3 of my children. The truth, I'm less lonely now than when I had them all in my life. Because now the people around me actually see me. Not my bank account, not my property, not their inheritance. They see Monique, a 72-year-old woman who survived loss and betrayal and came out stronger. A woman who knows her worth. That's not revenge. That's self-respect. And after 72 years on this earth, I finally learned the difference.